All right, let's talk about the one that he and I had the most amount of disagreement on, and that was whether or not in 3 years, in 2028, Tesla will not be selling any cars to individuals.
That will not be true.
Okay, so I believe that in 2028, I believe it could happen sooner, but it is hard for me to imagine why Tesla would sell a vehicle that can be turned into a robotaxi. Why would they sell that to an individual for their own use? Because there'll be so much demand for robotaxis that there'll be no reason to do that, and it'll be so much more valuable. And I thought that's kind of what Elon was hinting at when he talked about the exponential curve that's coming. And when you hit that exponential curve, they're not going to be able to make enough cars to fill the need.
Oh no, we'll see. I think we've spent so much time talking about this next year, and I mean 3 years ago, Randy, we probably would have been saying something very similar about in 3 years from now.
I think you're right, except that we actually are going to have robotaxi. So
We probably would have been saying that too.
yeah. Let me back up though to what I'm thinking that Elon's thinking. Okay, it's like it doesn't really matter what we make in terms of cars. It doesn't matter whether we sell, 3 million cars to private users or not, because ultimately it's going to be a robotaxi world. As far as Tesla is concerned, that doesn't mean General Motors won't still be selling cars to individuals. It doesn't mean that other BEV makers, but if you don't have autonomy, you won't be making robotaxis, so you'll still have to try to sell to private users. But
it does matter because every vehicle you sell is a potential robotaxi in the network.
right.
And the truth is, you're not going to have cybercabs alone because those are only two-seaters.
Right.
So every vehicle you sell, you get to not only make margin on the selling of the vehicle, but in the future, potentially robotaxi. And so it does matter every vehicle
So
they sell.
the more you sell, the more potential robotaxis are out there. I agree with that. And if you want to keep them fresh, because even though they're going to be taxis, it'd still be good if they look good and look fresh, like something modern and
And
interested in.
it's not even that, but it's just it reduces your cost of business because then you're not the one that has to float the vehicle costs.
Right.
And and it makes a lot more sense to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of individual people putting their own individual cars out there rather than hoping that you can have 6 or 7 huge fleet managers. Like, it just makes more sense. And hence the Airbnb model.
This is not my vision. I believe in the Airbnb model, and I think there will be a percentage of people that will do Airbnb version. But I think most of the people that do Airbnb are going to end up with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 vehicles. And some of those will end up with 10 and some will end up with 20. I don't think the normal Airbnb thing will be me putting one car out. I don't think that's going to be the norm.
I could see where like a household has 2. Well, anyways, we're not even there yet though. That's my point. So my point is we've been talking about these new revenue streams for so long, and we've seen these other revenue streams start to dry up on margins to the point where if we didn't have regulatory credits, we'd probably be in the negative this quarter.
There was an opposite on that, of course. So $400 million of R&D that was more than usual. So you could flip those two, and you'd be back where you are.
It was $600,000 or $600 million in regulatory credits.
I thought it was $400 million in regulatory.
600. It was $400 million in profits.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's no matter how you slice it, right? My point is revenue's coming down, margins coming down. So you can't do anything about global situation. I get that.
Right.
but I would say we haven't been executing to the fullest.
on the car
Um,
on the car models. So the energy has been executing, but the cars themselves, we haven't been doing a great job of increasing the unit sales each year.
I think there's a lot of areas we're not executing on. We're not executing on vehicle sales. I think we're not executing on FSD adoption.
Hmm.
Like, it makes no sense to me why we're doing $99 a month when we could say, yeah, sure, $99 a month or 50 cents a mile. And maybe it makes more sense for you to pay the monthly price. Maybe it makes sense for you to pay the monthly, but at least you lower the bar to entry so more people are willing to try and adopt it.
So based
And
on my own experience, I think that I would have done exactly what they've done. I wouldn't have pushed it hard
why?
because it wasn't ready. It was ready for you, but it wasn't ready for me. So 2 years ago or a year ago, I would try it for a trip and then
But
I'd
let's
stop using it. And then I wouldn't want to go back to it because I was
that's
disappointed because of the nag, because it didn't work all the time, because it would miss an exit, and so for the people that are taking on the new technology, it was working fine. But I don't want to have millions of people with a negative experience. And I'm sure they realize that. We don't want millions of people to have this negative experience and have a hard time getting them back or start talking about the negative experience to their friends and neighbors.
that's a great argument if you want, but people are still going to try it regardless. And
Oh,
the
it's
truth
ready.
is,
Now it's ready.
but you're using a 2 year ago argument. So forget that. That's not relevant. The same way as you talk about 3 years from now is not relevant. What I'm saying is they're not executing now.
Now they should.
And regardless, they should go on a per mile charge. Just lower the bar to entry, because even if you have a bad experience, guess what? Whenever a new release comes out, maybe it's only 50 cents for me to try this for a mile. Maybe I'm willing to try it this time. Maybe it sucks for 3 versions, but every time I try, I got a little better, but it's not that great. I tried again. And like, hey, it only cost me $5 here, $6 there, not a big deal. If it costs me $300 to try it 3 times, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is you lower the bar to entry.
Yeah.
And then you get more people, and then you can get more interventions. It just like, I think there's a lot of stuff like that. And then also, I think, from an execution perspective, I think there is a moral imperative to start advertising about this. I really do. I think that it's borderline unethical that they're not advertising about it, even if it's capital inefficient with commercials and stuff.
Oh, I,
But
I think it will be capital efficient. It would work.
yeah, but I'm saying even if it's
Any way
not,
to
I
do it.
think it's the morally the right thing to be promoting, to tell people, hey, you don't have to. And honestly, the people who would use this the most are older people, and they consume most of their stuff through the television. So I don't know. There's lots of areas I think we should be executing better on. So
So we agree on that one. I would definitely want to see that. If you happen to be a big fan of the Cybertruck, you might also be interested in this super fun Cybertruck refrigerator magnet and bottle opener. It is made out of super thick stainless steel, just like the Cybertruck, and it has this giant magnet on the back, so it's going to hold a lot of stuff on your refrigerator. It's an amazing gift, and it comes in that great gift box that you saw before that uses a magnet opener, just almost like an Apple box, like when you get Apple products. You can buy it on Amazon for $29.95, or you can buy it direct from me by sending $25 to paypal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lowercase letters. Please indicate whether you want the stainless steel look, or maybe you'd like to have this very clever camo version. And then if you're not in the US, please add $20 for freight. If you'd like more than one, Please check the information below to get pricing, as well as all that information I just told you will be repeated in the information below. So once again, think about joining the channel, getting the up-to-date Tesla news every single day. I think you'll be glad you did.